Redditors who own multiple pets, what's the drama going on amongst them right now? It's suddenly sweltering. We have one fan and 2 cats. Needless to say, some issues are arising, and positions in front of the fan are becoming more and more contentious. Note, I don't seem to factor into their considerations much. That must be a crappy third-hand breeze with all the hair, lol. A stray cat recently sat outside our window teasing our indoor cats, which freaked all our indoor cats TF out. Somehow, in the confusion, one cat attacked her brother and now growls anytime he comes near her. Left the cockatiels with the neighbor when I went away for a week. Neighbor did a great job, but I'm not sure they got as much human interaction as they usually do. Got home and bird 1 now sounds exactly like bird 2. I'm assuming bird 2 was bored and spent the week talking his brother's earholes off. Cue duets of peekaboo and maniacal laughter. It's cute, but it's loud, and it weirds me out not being able to tell them apart by sound. I had the opposite happen with our African Grey as a kid. We left her for a week with our neighbor, who had a very thick Valley Girl accent. For the next 8 years, she insisted on greeting everyone with a hee-I, girl. We found a month-old kitten back in August. He seemed fine at first, but it turns out he is, in the vet's words, built all wrong. His back legs and hips are fricked, and his growth is stunted at about the size of a 6-month-old kitten. He's terribly inbred, and kind of a lunatic. He doesn't keep concepts like don't do this or you get in trouble in his head. We tried training him. We've never had a problem doing this for any cat in the past. And he thinks the proper response to anything he doesn't like is to rear up on his hind legs and attack. Thankfully without claws or teeth. But that does include simply walking past and not feeding him. He's just a small ball of uncomprehending, cross-eyed rage and poor wiring. He also runs into walls and furniture constantly, and he loses his little crippled crap over balled up paper, which often causes him to run into walls and furniture. He sleeps in the paper recycling bin with all our junk mail. He doesn't paw at doors, he licks them. We adopted another cat, about 6 months older than him, in January. The other cat is like the dictionary example of perfect feline poise and prowess. When he is standing absolutely still. Otherwise he's every single episode of Jackass and Fast and Furious movie crammed into 14 pounds of pure muscle. We have wood floors throughout most of the house, linoleum and tile elsewhere, with a few carpets. He hurls himself around at warp 9.9 everywhere. His feet aren't even under him most of the time. He just slides around. He's a thief, and he takes whatever he's stolen down to the basement. We haven't found his stash yet. He prefers to be held upside down, with his head and paws dangling. If you try to pick him up normally he'll twist in your arms until he's in that position. It wouldn't be so bad if they got along. The smaller cat wants to play, but he weighs a whole 6 pounds, so the bigger one just knocks him around. They can't even play with toys together because the smaller one is also nearsighted. If we have the laser pointer out, the bigger one becomes the freaking predator, and the smaller one loses it 10 seconds later and stands around confused. We love them both very dearly, but they are the absolute worst and most entertaining cats. Currently they have to be kept separate while we do physical therapy on the smaller one in preparation for surgery to repair his patellus. But the bigger one gets very jealous when this happens and tries to shove himself through the gap under the door to reach him. Since he can't do that, he takes every common toy between them and hides them in the basement. OMG, please make a sitcom. The peacock keeps rattling his feathers at the cats. They don't seem to care, but it's usually a mating behavior which seems a little misplaced. LOL, my bearded dragon would start the mating dance with my friend every time he came over. Just him for some reason. For a long time, 7 years this year, Dusty ate on the right and Misty ate on the left, side by side. Then one day earlier this year Dusty decides she doesn't want to be a right eater anymore, so she has now unilaterally moved over to the left. This has completely puzzled Misty, who doesn't understand at all why things have changed, and will now sit there to the left of the bowl watching Dusty eat for a minute before realizing she has to go around to the right now. The bowls are the same. The food hasn't changed. Dusty just decided the right side wasn't for her anymore and now she wants to be a left-sided eater, and Misty just has to deal with it. Cats, I don't know. One of my professors in college told us about how she switched her one cat's food and water from right left to left right, and she stared at her really confused and refused to eat until she switched it back. Must be a common cat thing. Rescued African grey hates everyone. Her only joy is terrorizing the cockatiels. Cockatiels protest and evacuate their cage. AG sneaks in to eat their food. She is supposed to be in a restricted diet. No one wins. Parrots sound fun, but I honestly have no urge to take care of a screaming toddler for 65 years. I'll stick to budgies. KTHX. My blind pug gets upset when the big deaf dog goes near her, touches her, and the big deaf dog has no idea she is angry, barking, growling about it. I'm living in a tiny circus. Eat her. The pug is a wrinkly old 11-year-old girl and the big deaf dog is a Catahoula puppy. My cat is pretty old now, so eats small portions of her meals over several hours. My dog has started sneaking into the kitchen and eating her meal before she's done. She then comes back and sees that her food has been eaten and so meows incessantly until someone in the house gives her more food. Whenever she sees my dog, they have a standoff where she snarls at my dog, so we'll catch them in a few dollars more style stare off many times during the day. She also goes and makes it a point to drink my dog's water instead of her own in retaliation. I bought a clownfish for my tank recently. My Nyangabby has been hiding in the rocks ever since. I think he feels like a stranger in his own home now. The clownfish is probably being a dong, as clownfish tend to be. My dog is whining and being generally annoying because he heard another dog outside and wants to go out now. My cat follows him around and reaches up to smack him in the face from time to time as if to reprimand him for being annoying. Cat with job. I have a cat and a dog. We are currently living in a 2-bedroom apartment since we just relocated while we wait to move into our house. Cat and dog are both unhappy with the lack of space, but dog has it slightly better because he gets to travel 16 floors down the elevator to take a walk around the city twice a day. However, dog is now bearing a noticeable grudge against cat since we've started taking cat up and down the corridors for daily walks. He hears the clink of the leash as we put it on cat and comes running, ready for another walkie. The look of confusion and betrayal in his eyes is harsh. His usual level of token harassment of cat, to be expected in any cat-dog relationship, has definitely increased. We are currently integrating an adult and fat rat with 3 younger ones. He's not aggressive unless they climb into his enclosure, particularly his felt cube. Nothing worrisome though. However, he's tired of the younger ones smacking him in the face and darting away because he's too fat and slow to catch them. Rats can die of loneliness and depression, so it's important for them to have buddies. A rat's brain chemistry is extremely similar to our own, so the depression they feel from being alone is very much akin to our own. Rats are magnificent creatures, smart, clean, and have bright personalities. So if you're coming to the conclusion that you are a rat, that means you too are a magnificent creature. My kitten is stealing food from my older cat's bowl, so the older cat sticks out her paw and trips the kitten whenever she walks past. The dog and cat food we had used to have looked so similar that my cat would go downstairs into the K-line war zone, pick up the dog food with her mouth, walk it all the way upstairs, and drop it in her own bowl for safekeeping. Either that or she is just a bee, which is very likely. The girl ferret taught the boy ferrets how to get into the closet because she likes to feel smart and thinks she won't get in trouble if it's the boys doing it. I also caught her teaching the boys how to unzip the cushions on the couch in their room to hide inside. She is too much sometimes. The sneaky scoundrel. Oh my god, you described my female too. I used to have 2 males and a female. She really was very smart. Outsmarted the other 2 and they were not dumb either. She also used to teach the other 2 nasty tricks like rolling the toilet paper out, or once they dug a hole under the sofa to sleep in. Anniversary is coming up next week, so wife thought it would be a good idea to get collars for our cats. The oldest cat keeps biting at everyone's collars now because he used to be the only one that had a collar. But his son seems to get it the worst because they both have bow ties and he doesn't like his son to shine. My partner and I have a greyhound and a cat. Generally they just ignore each other, but lately the cat has taken a liking to sitting on the sofa. Gwynny the greyhound loves the sofa and gets really jealous if we are patting Sophia the kitty on the sofa. So he's taken to coming right up to our faces and doing this high-pitched bark. Scares the crap out of me every dang time. We're currently pet sitting a friend's tortoise while their family is on vacation. We took the tortoise out to walk in the grass while we were doing yard work, and our dog decided to take on the role of nanny and follow it around, barking at the cats when they came too close. My dog keeps crying at my pet mice. She'd do it for hours if I'll let her, but I'm not gonna have her stressing them out. As for the mice, one cries whenever the other sniffs her, but she also cries when she can't open seeds fast enough to eat them. Plump as can be, and no injuries. She's getting better at not squeaking at everything. I think she's just anxious. My fish mind their own business mostly, but a few weeks ago, one of the tetras I had for quite a long time started dying. The first sign of impending death in a fish is the swim bladder failing, so they swim sideways, upside down, or just stop moving and then suddenly jerk. After living peacefully in harmony for as long as I had kept them together, one of my angelfish took this opportunity to eat one of the tetra's eyeballs. The other angelfish started picking at it too while it was suffering. I just killed the fish myself to put it out of its misery rather than getting eaten alive. Brutal. 2 dogs, bosom buds except when the food comes out. Girl dog stands over her food and barks instead of eating it regardless of what boy dog is doing, including eating his own food, sleeping in another room or even not being in the house at all. She's a bit of a drama queen. Whenever I give my dogs bones there is a contest of who can not eat theirs for the longest, because then the one that managed to outweight the other can eat it while feeling superior over the puppy who has already finished and has no bone. Every night, our cat attacks our dog's tail when it's asleep. Every time this happens the dog jumps up, starts barking and chases the cat down the hallway. I haven't had a full night's sleep in months because of this game they play. Happened 2 weeks ago. Got a budgie. Budgie gives my cockatiel chlamydia. Cockatiel nearly dies and receives meds and is cured. TLDR. Bird chlamydia. The old, frail rat is still an object of fear and wonder to the 2 younger guys. He will lope after them in a slow chases and, if his poor blind butt doesn't lose track, try to tackle them. His old, fat brother gets tackled for fun by the younger guys and just lays there like a confused furry turtle. Old frail guy is getting pickier and pickier about his food and calmly imposes his will on the humans to accept or reject whatever he fancies. As much as I love the sprightly young rats, it's the big ol' squishy ones that steal my heart. I wish they lived longer. LOL funny you should ask. Just this very moment, the dog backed up onto the couch because the cat growled at her. The dog really wants to play and be friends but the cats won't give her the time of day. My new kitten is trying hard to get adopted by my dog, but she offers nothing more substantial than grudging tolerance. We got a kitten in January. Our older cat just about tolerates her as long as kitten minds her business and stays off our bed at night. But kitten wants to be on the bed more than anything in the world. We now have daily power struggles, races to the bed, midnight slap fights, and, occasionally, perfect harmony where they're both too tired to notice the other cat is also on the bed. Our new kitten has warmed up to sleeping with us and will swat the older cat off the bed. Older started putting himself to bed. We have his tiny one next to ours, at like 8 PM so he's already in the room before any of us LOL. I have 2 older rescue mutts who weigh 60 and 80 pounds. When I had my other cat, bigger dog loved her and would cuddle her all the time. Other pupper tolerated her. She's a big scaredy dog. That cat died 2 years ago, so last summer we adopted a new cat. She apparently hates dogs and wants to kill my mutts. The big dog doesn't understand this and keeps trying to be friends. I gave up on it a long time ago and they all live in separate rooms basically. Well, apparently over the last couple of weeks, when I'm not around to see, brat cat sneaks over to the dogs while they're sleeping and sniffs them. If they wake up she scampers away. Dogs sometimes pretend to be sleeping, maybe because they are terrified, and allow her to sniff. My hope is that one day I'll walk in on Brat Cat and my big mutt snuggling surreptitiously and just act like this last year has been nothing significant. I have 2 working breed dogs. One rescue and amp, one from an accidental litter, spay and amp, neuter. Folks, 0 the collie loves all humans, tolerates calm dogs, and keeps himself neat and amp, clean. His brother Mouth, however, really irks him in the ways only a brother can, plus he's part blue heeler and very rough, but very playful, downright boisterous. I love my dogs. I really do. 0 is best dog and Math is most dog because they're 2 completely different dogs who look very similar but have nearly opposite needs. Outside of food and affection, we have 2 varieties of 3 different color balls in the house, to make sure there are duplicates. Since these jerks will fight over a single toy if their mouths can both fit on it, pulling in opposite directions. But it's no longer enough to have 6 different balls available, it seems. They've started scuffling over the same color ball, either the blue or the green, not a red, orange, or pink, right when they come back from a walk. 0 immediately claims rights to a ball in the corner but growls defensively instead of picking it up, and Matha, just likes messing with him and B, gets obsessed with taking any ball he wants. Math dives in and 0 gets P. They latch onto each other's faces for a minute and make a racket. I break it up and they go to their separate kennels. This has happened 3 times in the last 2 weeks. No bloodshed but it still ruins the mood. They had previously been creating artificial scarcity by moving all but one ball into another room, to then scrap over it like no others exist in the universe. We went from 3 balls to 6 as a preventative measure. This is where we've now ended up, I guess, as it's always something with these 2, has been for the last 8 years. They're both idiots. Sounds like they're about to lose their ball privileges altogether. One of my rabbits keeps trying to steal the other one's spot under my bathroom sink in my dirty clothes overflow. The day he learned to open those cabinet doors. Ugh. Rabbits are way smarter than people think. Mine thankfully have not figured out how to open doors. We have 2 Devon Rex cats and 1 Sphynx cat. The Sphynx is the youngest and the 2 Devons have been with each other from kittens different litters etc. But our 6-year-old daughter reads to them at night time. They all wait on her bed and she'll start the story. Well, it's getting cool so Keith, the Sphynx, is being dressed in jumpers and the other 2 mock him mercilessly. Admittedly it looks like he's wearing a turtleneck but the 2 Devons will move away from him when he comes in for story time. Both look at him until he makes eye contact then they look away quickly. It's like cat bullying. But Keith the Sphynx in his impressive turtleneck sweater has claimed pride of place for story time and this has peed the other 2 off so now they rarely come in for story time. They wait at the door. Keith also likes to steal food so we've had to get microchip feeders as he was getting really fat and starting to bulge out of his sweaters, like an overstuffed sausage. I can't keep pets for various reasons but mostly cause I travel and am living overseas ATM where they have street dogs. One was super injured and I took to caring for her. Now more of them know I give out pets and scratches and chase me down the street for them. I don't mind but some days I have places to be and suck at turning them down. 2 alphas from 2 gangs. Yes they have gangs. Both love to compete and button their heads in front of my hand when other one is getting some love and pets. There is also a funny one who just lies down the moment she sees me cause she wants belly rubs. It would be okay but not in the middle of the street girl. And then there are some teenage puppies trying to figure it out and get too playful and rough. Although my original injured bee is not bleeding anymore and getting better but for past 3 days is not coming up happily to me when I call for her or erecting much. She is either sad or bummed by heat or sick. We'll keep an eye on her and see how it goes. Today my main bee, I love calling her that cause technically correct, was happy and jumping all over me. I think she is integrating in a new gang or something. Keeps moving around the neighborhood. Not a common thing to do, but I feel happy now that she is less emo. On the other hand the alpha dog from one gang ignored me and walked away. Such moody bastards. I love them all and wonder whether I smell different or sound different when they change behavior. I remember when I was in Sri Lanka being surprised how well looked after a lot of the strays were, particularly in rural areas. Might help that a big part of the country is Buddhist but there definitely seems to be a good relationship between people and dogs. Just a different one to in the West. Wasn't what I was expecting at all. Susan the ragdoll has been switched to regular feeding times rather than just being allowed to graze all day. She now follows us around the house meowing and swiping at Rupert and Chili the Spoodles if they try to interrupt her begging time. Rupert and Chili are terrified of her. They just want some pats. Susan wants them to feel her pain. Typical Susan. I never realized what a perfect bitchy cat name that is until now. 6 and 2 yo Maltese and around 4 or 5 yo cat. The 2 Maltese play with each other all the time. The 2 yo really wants to play with the cat, but the cat wants nothing to do with it. No fighting, but the cat will do a hissy yowl to get the dog to go away. She also swats, but it's harmless. Cat's previous humans had her declawed. My cat is not declawed and I've come across her with one of her claws in my dog's eyelid. She hates him, but he loves her so much. He doesn't mind that her claw was in his eyelid because he just wants to be friends. 3. We have a family dog that was put down yesterday. 11-year-old Golden. The other animals, 3 cats and a dog, have all been extremely well behaved and we think it's because they all know she's gone. It's been eerily quiet around and the animals all seem to be mourning in their own way. The cats have all been sleeping on her old bed and my other dog keeps running to the back door thinking she might find her outside. It's incredibly sad and I miss her more than anything. Something very similar for me. My cat has been deathly afraid of our hamster for a few years. He would chase her around and eat her food. It was hilarious. The hamster died yesterday, and the cat, who actively avoids the side of the house he lived in, was up on the desk looking in his cage when we came back in from burying him. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.